On October 24th, Ukraine executed an unprecedented strike plan, not against a fixed military base, not targeting a power plant. This time, the aim was to direct US-supplied HIMARS rockets straight at the Belgorod Dam, a critical node capable of crippling Russia's strategic logistics in the Kharkiv border region. The next morning, the governor of Belgorod in Russia was forced to speak out. The dam had been partially destroyed, water was spilling downstream. If strikes continue, flash flooding is inevitable. The attack plan began with 4 Lelika 100 reconnaissance UAVs, penetrating deep through Russian air defenses with centimeter-level targeting accuracy. 2 successfully infiltrated and precisely identified the positions of field camps and major ammunition dumps. Assets with an estimated total value near $5 billion, distributed within a 15-mile radius around the Belgorod Dam. Lelika sensor feeds were streamed live to the SSO command. One of the key targets was a frontline ammunition depot, holding 4,500 tons of 122mm artillery rounds, mortar rounds, tank rounds, small arms ammunition, and thousands of man-portable Igla missiles. That stockpile was sufficient to sustain 2 divisions' fire for 10 continuous days, accompanied by dozens of armored logistics trucks, Ural and Kamaz, awaiting orders to move toward the Kupiansk-Vovchansk axis. Not stopping there, just a few kilometers downstream of the dam sat Belgorod 22, a tactical nuclear weapons storage complex belonging to Unit 25,624. One of the Soviet-era Object 400 installations, located roughly 10 miles from the border, still active today. The main structure contained 3 deep underground vaults, each storing 30 to 40 tactical warheads. Total estimated stock approximately 100 tactical warheads, the types compatible with Iskander-M, Kaliber, and KH-101 delivery systems. Yield per warhead ranged from 5 to 150 kilotons. The whole area guarded by 150 Russian soldiers, garrisoned at an open field camp near the secondary entrance. If the dam were to fail catastrophically, water would sweep down the Siversky Donets, overwhelm spillways, and drown the entire logistics network, ammunition dumps, and Russia's nuclear assets in the Belgorod area. This would not be mere supply denial, it would be an asymmetric strategic strike at the Kremlin's covert tactical weapons. The command center display lit up the tactical map, 3 weak points on the dam marked in red: the spillway gates, the downstream tow, the concrete earth interface. If all 3 points were struck simultaneously, the approximately 980-foot dam structure would not withstand the resonant hydraulic pressure plus blast overpressure, and the dam's body would almost certainly collapse in sections, producing an irrecoverable breach. At Velika Pisarivka village, Sumy Oblast, 46 miles from the target, the 27th Artillery Brigade's HIMARS unit had emplaced 6 HIMARS M31, a 1-block IA rockets, delivered from the United States 3 days earlier, stood ready on their rails. The distance to the target lay well within the system's optimal effective range, ensuring absolute precision. Target coordinates were preloaded into the launcher's fire control core via the militarized Starlink satellite network. Positioning data was updated every 0.5 seconds from a reconnaissance UAV loitering at only 1,640 feet above the dam, using thermal cameras and semi-active laser. A single fire order passed over encrypted UHF internal channels. The 27th digital crew verified parameters: combustion chamber pressure, guidance axis, inertial data. 6 rockets left the rails, each carrying the stamp of American aid and the launch techniques and defiant spirit of Kyiv. Solid fuel motors burned continuously, accelerating the rockets to top speed. The rockets quickly climbed to a cruise altitude of 49,000 feet. Velocity peaked near Mach 3.0. Active control surfaces adjusted continuously using dual-layer INS and GPS guidance. The flight path shaped as a low-cone profile, denying ground radar reaction time. Russian radars had less than 15 seconds to detect, track, and lock. On the command center's main screen, time to impact 85 seconds. If not intercepted, all 6 rockets would simultaneously strike 3 fatal weak points on the dam. Each hit carried an armor-piercing warhead weighing over 220 pounds, leaving no defensive option. But the dam was not the true target. Kyiv did not aim at inert concrete. Kyiv aimed at the military logistics ecosystem Russia had built around it. Field camps, ammunition depots, transfer nodes, and transport corridors, all directly servicing Moscow's invasion campaign from the Kharkiv-Kupiansk axis. If the entire zone were severed, if the ground became an impassable flooded wasteland, 4,600 tons of materiel, nearly $5 billion worth, would not reach the front line. They would drown or be abandoned, immobile. Moscow's supply units, instead of moving directly to the front, would be forced to reroute or get bogged down attempting to bridge flooded sectors. Resupply rates would drop below half, new routes would double in length, and exposure to UAV ambushes and guided artillery would spike. Dozens of daily logistics lanes would be cut or delayed. Land routes, pontoon bridges, refueling nodes, submerged under 10 feet of mud and water. Meanwhile, frontline Russian units would exhaust their on-hand reserves, losing redundancy and rapid resupply capability. And even if convoys reached the front, the units meant to receive them might no longer exist. Late logistics would be funerals, not reinforcements. At 4:03 a.m., 6 attack axes had just punched through Russia's early warning radar layer. The 91N6E and 96L6 surveillance radars gave no early warning. No radar returns, no cue fed down to lower-tier air defense systems. The Russian air defense net was pierced at the first layer. Pantsir did not react. Tor M2 received no target data. Buk M3 remained silent. At the Regional Air Defense Command in Belgorod, screens remained blank. No unit realized 6 precision-guided cruise rockets, each carrying a destructive warhead, were inbound at 3 times the speed of sound. From border crossing time, the 6 HIMARS had less than 20 seconds to impact. At the Belgorod Air Defense Control Center, the atmosphere remained calm. The radar sweep continued its steady rotation, but no high-level alert was present. The night shift had just changed. One poured coffee, one opened a map. A familiar tableau, domestic airspace, a quiet night. No one knew that on the other side of the border. 6 HIMARS rockets were screaming toward the target, now less than 19 miles away. But only seconds later, the main radar screen flickered with a faint return. A strange trace appeared, then vanished within ground clutter interference. The technician assumed it was a metallic bird, or a false echo from the lower band layer. Then the signal reappeared. Its intensity rose sharply. The alert level jumped to stage 3. The shift commander leaned closer to the display, and the internal alarm erupted. Inbound ordnance detected, Mach 3 speed, red alert. The tracking radar barely locked on before all 6 heat signatures crossed the interception boundary. Every missile was already in terminal phase, descending at near vertical angles. There was no time to respond. In less than 8 seconds, the entire air defense center heard only a single rising scream. Then the first detonations roared as 6 rockets slammed into the Belgorod Dam. 3 struck the main spillway gate cluster. The first 2 penetrated the 3.2-foot thick concrete. The third exploded directly at the hydraulic control shaft. The gate system was torn apart. Water from the reservoir surged downward. Pressure spiked beyond design limits. Every floodgate flipped open. The spillway discharged at full bore. The next 2 warheads hit the downstream toe, burrowing deep into compacted soil before exploding inside, creating 32-foot craters and toppling hundreds of tons of earth and reinforced structure. The reverse erosion effect began instantly. The current found its path and devoured everything that tried to hold it back. The final missile slammed into the concrete earth junction, the dam's weakest seam. That blast carved a fracture running along the body like a slash wound, widening into a leak, and then into a torrent. Within 60 seconds, hydraulic pressure from the reservoir began ripping the dam apart from within. Each second, over 1,000 cubic meters of water poured downstream. Russia's defensive line wasn't attacked, it was drowned. No sirens, no air defense, no return fire, only water. Pressure. Collapse. The first surge burst out at a rate exceeding 1,000 cubic meters per second. Within a minute, the flow doubled. The raw force from the reservoir formed a 980-foot-long water wall, nearly 13 feet high, racing along the lower Siversky Donets channel. The first target struck, the northern frontline ammunition depot, less than 1.8 miles from the dam. 20 warehouse rows, packed with artillery shells, supply trucks, and diesel tanks. No wall was built to withstand direct hydraulic impact. The leading wave slammed into warehouse number 5, where 152mm shells were stacked. Wooden crates shattered, steel containers burst open. Thousands of shells swept away like drifting metal carcasses. The flood expanded southwest, touching the perimeter of the Belgorod 22 nuclear complex. The entire access tunnel to Vault 2, which led to the underground warhead chambers, flooded rapidly. Unit 25,624 issued a Level 1 nuclear security alert. All guards retreated inside. The hydraulic bulkhead doors sealed, 40 seconds before the water reached containment level. The Russian Logistics Brigade encampment, over 150 soldiers, was completely submerged. Tents, command trucks, field comms, and temporary relay stations were swallowed by mud and current. One artillery battery failed to evacuate, swept away entirely by the surge. The Belgorod-Vovchansk supply line was severed. Lowland dirt roads went under. All mechanized traffic halted. The steel temporary bridge at Transfer Point 3 collapsed halfway through its span. Convoys carrying fuel, shells, and rations stopped dead mid-route. Within 5 minutes, Russia's entire logistical network in the region was paralyzed. Not by bombs, not by artillery, by water and precision. The Belgorod-Shebekino-Vovchansk supply corridor, which ferried artillery shells, fuel, and vehicles for Russia's entire Kharkiv grouping, was cut off completely. Less than 10 minutes after the dam was destroyed, backup routes were forced into detours, stretching paths by 31 miles through high, open terrain right along the border. Territory constantly under short-range Ukrainian UAV patrol. Ambush risk tripled. The region's largest ammunition dump, 4,500 tons of artillery and manpads, was now unreachable. Russian artillery units on the Kupiansk and Svatove fronts began dropping fire rates from 500 rounds per day to under 180. Out of shells, long-range guns went silent. Supply crews were forced to ration remaining stock, daily quotas cut. The Eastern Kharkiv logistics cluster was effectively dead. Moscow's response: evasion, censorship, distortion. By the next morning, the Russian Defense Ministry issued no official statement. Only the Belgorod regional governor confirmed that a local dam was slightly damaged by Ukrainian shelling. No mention of HIMARS, no mention of flooding, no mention of military losses. Ukraine, no press briefing, no celebration, no official confirmation. Within the Ukrainian military, there was no victory toast. Only a staff assessment circulated from the general command. Belgorod-Vovchansk logistics corridor disabled for 5 to 7 days minimum. Estimated munitions rendered inoperable greater than 4,000 tons.